welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Star Chronicles Dallas Cowboy Football Podcast with a special show entitled The Dakota Prescott Chronicles. I'm Troy Hill, and I've got Kyle with me today, Ron the Starstruck fan, and Lisa Lee. Today we're going to talk about Dak Prescott. Some of us love him, some of us hate him. Some of them doesn't mind him being here. Others want him just to go to another team or just go somewhere other than the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go ahead and start with Lisa Lee. What are your thoughts on Dak?
Well, I've said it multiple times on this particular show. You can go back. It's on record. I love him. I have always loved him. I will always love him in a, from the standpoint of, is he the right person to be the face of this franchise from a non-football standpoint? Absolutely. There's no one better to be the face of the franchise. My issue right now is, and I have been a Dak defender, that's also very clear on record. Mm-hmm. But I'm struggling right now with, at what point do you say we can't keep rolling out with the same thing because we're getting the same result? So that's where I'm at right now, is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that and respect that opinion. I guess with me, the argument would be, as far as doing the same thing over and over again, I think you could probably say that about the whole damn thing, the whole team. It's not just a quarterback. And I kind of feel like, me personally, I think it's more than just Dak that causes the problems in this team. I think Dak makes the perfect scapegoat in some situations for the failures of this team. I mean, again, that's just my opinion. What's your thoughts, Ron?
Gonna be a tough one tonight. Look, man, I knew this was gonna be tough. Talking about still support Dak as a person, still support him as a player, as a Cowboy. Man, I'm thankful that he is the quarterback. My stance is right now is this too much pressure on him? I feel bad for him being as a part of this organization. I think somebody shared it earlier with the fact that he's got to endure a situation like a Jerry Jones. He's got to endure a situation like a Mike McCarthy as a head coach, which good coach. I just don't know if he's Super Bowl caliber to this team. I know that could probably be a separate podcast on itself, and whether Mike McCarthy is able to do it, or he has to have a quarterback that carries his offense for him. So my perspective is, I think it's just a bit too much pressure on Dak right now, being a Cowboy. Probably not as an NFL QB, but being in the position of that, it takes a lot more than what it does in some of these other positions as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think the pressure, to me, almost appears like it's getting to him based on his play. And that's just the perspective I'm coming from right now, without taking too much mic time from anybody else to share as it come back around to me again at some point. But is it too much pressure for him right now? And I'm thinking it could be.
See, I go back to the thing that I think it's more pressure on him as a person versus being a player.
Gotcha.
And I think he's handled and maintained being a Dallas Cowboy quarterback pretty well, in the grand scheme of things. But I think it's all the other, his mother, his brother, those situations encompassed with the nonsense of some of the things that fans say to this man. It's, to me, it's just, I think that some of the stuff is just seeping out, seeping over the boundaries of football when it comes to complaints about him. What are your thoughts about that, Kyle?
I mean, I don't think we could blame Dak Prescott for the fact this team hasn't won a Super Bowl in 27 years. You know what I mean? Like that's not all on him. I mean, before we got in here, there's only really been one common denominator in all this, and that's Jerry Jones. You know what I mean? As for pressure, I mean, the guy's been here for 8 seasons. I don't know. He played in the SEC. You know what I mean? It's not like he played in the Mountain West Conference in front of 2,000 people, and this is his first time playing in Dallas Stadium. I don't know. I mean, I get it. The team, I feel like the team itself is under pressure to win. Obviously him being the leader of the team, but I don't know. I mean, like, at some point, I get the definition of insanity, but like only one team wins a Super Bowl every year. You know what I mean? So I mean, how quick are teams eager to move on from quarterbacks? You know what I mean? Like quarterback is, we can sit here all day, but the quarterback is the most important position probably in all of sports. You know what I mean? Like, are we willing to gamble that? I mean, look at all the teams that do. The Jets have gambled back-to-back first-round picks. They have gone. They're Darnold and Wilson. Look, Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields. The Bears have spent back-to-back first-round picks. Not the Redskins. Sorry, Commanders. They haven't had a franchise quarterback in 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know how fast we want to move on from that position. I mean, I think he's good enough to get us there. I believe he is. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. That was going to be my question. I was going to ask y'all point blank.
He's not Patrick Mahomes. I get that. Well, I mean, like, fans don't get that, but I get that. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but like, he is a solid quarterback. Like, look at the quarterbacks that he's. People defend Lamar, like I said, Lamar Jackson, like he is God's good. Dak has more playoff wins than Lamar Jackson. Dak has more playoff wins than Deshaun Watson, but those guys, no one talks about those guys, and those guys get twice as much money as Dak does and have done half as less. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get the hate. I mean, maybe if Dak played for Baltimore or played for Tennessee Titans or Atlanta Falcons, no one would give a shit. You know what I mean? But like, I don't get the hate for Dak Prescott. I don't get it.
Because it's a different type of fan base.
Because this team can enter the dark. This team can enter the dark ages like they did after Troy Aikman. We can easily go back to that because I don't think Dallas knows how to pick out, draft quarterbacks. When's the last time they drafted a quarterback that was worth a damn? You know what I mean? Tony Romo was undrafted. Let's be real here. And Dak Prescott fell into the lap as a 4th round pick. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and
all right, Jerry. Let's see what you got. You know what I mean?
A quick thing before we go back to Lisa with her question. Let's also add to a lot of people complain about Dak, about how much money he's going to be paid, or this potential extension, or whatever the case may be, saying he was a 4th round pick. Nobody batted an eye at the money that was paid to Tony Romo being undrafted. So that argument to me is invalid. And Romo didn't win us. And Romo didn't win us jack shit.
We don't. So, and my feelings of that is people act like he's going to set the market. Like, do you honestly think Dak's going to ask for more than Patrick Mahomes, $50 million? Because I don't. I don't think he's going to ask for more than 52 or 53. Like, he's not going to ask for that. Like, we all just assume he's going to reset the market and be the top highest paid quarterback. Like, says who? Like, I don't get that. I think he technically did this Dallas a favor and worked out a team-friendly deal when he signed the last contract. I just we act like he's this greedy SOB that just is out for money and could care less about anything. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
No, I agree with you. What was your question? I think I know what you're going to ask, Lisa, but here's the one to just let the listener hear it so we all could collectively answer.
But my question was going to be point blank to you guys. So let me backtrack a little bit because my thing is with Dak, like, is he serviceable? Absolutely. Do I believe that he can get us to the Super Bowl? I don't know yet. Not yet. I don't know. I'm not solid in that foundation. And the reason that it comes back to him, I don't believe he's 100% to blame for the issues, obviously for the last 30 years, 27, whatever. But like, even in the last 8, like, he has been serviceable. My argument is, at what point do you say, I don't want to pay somebody $53 million to get me roughly the same result that I could get from someone paying them $30 million? Like, and there's no guarantee that if you moved on that you would get anything at or better. I get that part of it. So my question to you guys, point blank, do you believe that Dak Prescott can lead this team to the Super Bowl?
Yes, I believe he can. I believe he can. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stand right next to you, bro. I think so too. But
Jared Goff got his team to a Super Bowl. My God, you know what I mean? Like
exactly. Trent
Jesus, Trent Dilfer did it. You know what I mean?
But here's the caveat: other things need to work for it to happen.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, so
He's not gonna just. We're not gonna ride to the Super. I mean, I'm saying we could do it, but I'm also saying we're not gonna ride to the Super Bowl on Dak's arm alone.
Okay, then that's my argument. That's my whole point to this whole thing.
But that's so many other teams in the NFL also.
That's every team. That's every team in NFL. That's the Seahawks. That's the Falcons. That's the Buccaneers. That's every team. You know what I mean? Like,
can't worry about the Bucks and the Falcons. We got to worry about the Cowboys. I hear that.
Well, there's 31 other teams, Ron. You have to worry about them. Like they could all say the same damn thing.
I know, but like this,
you have to have a quarterback. You have to have a quarterback.
Okay, we've had one for 8 years.
The Falcons have been to the Super Bowl, and the Bucks have been to the Super Bowl in the last.
With Tom Brady, they went out and signed Tom Brady.
Yes, that's a difference.
And Matt
Ryan. Are they going to the Super Bowl?
And Matt Ryan. So we can't put Matt Ryan really fully in the position of Tom Brady. But yeah, but Matt Ryan, yes.
But my point to that is like Tampa, yeah, for sure. I feel like Tampa rode the arm and the know-how of Tom Brady for sure. But like my point too is like they knew if they got down, Tampa was never out of a game because of their quarterback.
Because the best quarterback of all time who's ever touched a football. Yes, you're right. Correct.
Fair. But like,
yeah.
God, my Troy Aikman senses just like started hurting when you said that. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Send us Super Bowl rings. I mean, come on. How are you doing? Let's.
Yeah.
You know, this is. I love Troy Aikman too, but it's not even close. Come on.
But and I do. This is my. It goes back to my point. Like I do love Dak, and there is no football wish that I have that I want to happen more than him to lead this team to a Super Bowl. Nothing I want more.
Oh, so the villain in me wants something way different nowadays.
So is the answer signing? signing Derek Carr, Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield for $30 million? Is that a better option than Dak Prescott? Because I don't think it is.
Well, I don't know.
That Jimmy G and
Derek, I know that what we've been rolling out there isn't getting us past the first round or the second round. So my point is, it's almost like
that's Dak Prescott's fault.
Okay, but here's my argument. It's Dak's not contributing to it not happening in the big games. Does Dak get us 12 or 13 wins every year? I mean, he does. He has games where he looks like he could be unstoppable. Specifically, his rookie year, he had that whatever that was like at the playoff game. I was there.
No.
We were down by 25. He literally put the team on his back. Zeke contributed to this, obviously. But they methodically drove down the field, and it was like, boom, boom, we're back in the game. And the defense, I get it, that was the defense's fault. And I'm not putting 100% of the blame on Dak Prescott. But at what point with this team do you have to make it's almost, I mean, not even just the quarterback, but like my argument for the quarterback is, and we talked about this a little bit. I think I read something the other day that if he's released in March, it saves the team $35 million. I get it. It's not all about money. You could take steps backwards, this and that, and who and raw. However, $35 million in this salary cap era is material. So you have teams like the 49ers who are paying Brock Purdy $900,000 a year. I get it. They're about to have to back the Brinks truck up if he keeps playing like he's playing. But at what point do you say, I get it, we may take a step back, but what gives?
And I can just get back in here because I want to circle back to some things that was said. Because first, let's entertain the Falcons and Bucks again for the last 30 years.
Here we go.
Yes. Tom Brady. Didn't we not say Tom Brady? However,
yes.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won with Brad Johnson. I think we forgot about that. That's happened in the last 30 years. I know 30 years is a long time. They won with Brad Johnson. The Falcons, they got to the Super Bowl, not with just Matt Ryan. They did it with a quarterback, Chris Chandler. That has been This is just showing you how long it's really been. When I start naming these quarterbacks, you're like, really? They played? Yes, in the last 30 years, and teams got. Also, what was said was, would we move on to like a Derek Carr or, some of these other quarterbacks? Probably not. But would you entertain somebody like Matt Stafford that if their coach decides to retire, step away from the Rams, and he's like, I feel like I still got 2 more years left? Would it be willing to entertain somebody like a Matthew Stafford to come in for maybe 2 years and quarterback this team in some sort of trade? And I'm just saying I'm not for that, but that's a possibility that this team can look at. I just feel that's where we at. If this team does not win this year, we're looking at a scenario that could possibly be like that, where Aaron Rodgers, how he has moved, not saying Aaron Rodgers, but somebody like a Matthew Stafford that I think a lot of people would be on board if he looks this direction, even at the age that where he is right now. When you start looking at QB efficiency, the question was asked, could Dak get this team to the Super Bowl? I don't know if I can honestly answer that. I don't know. That he
can I say one thing?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just continue, please. But the argument of Brad Johnson, I think that's a bunch. I think that's a bunch of bull jive because their defense is outstanding and stuff.
4 Hall of Famers, yeah.
Defense didn't score every touchdown. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, it was like actually considered one of the greatest probably defenses in. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying these QBs, when we talk about people like Jared Goff, these guys got their teams to the Super Bowl because they didn't make mistakes in games that they could have lost before getting to the Super Bowl. No, they didn't have what it took to win the Super Bowl, but they played efficient enough in the playoffs that got them to a Super Bowl. We can't even get to the Super Bowl. We're still trying to battle past the second round of playoffs. And a large portion of those games have been from offensive inefficiency. Can't put it wholly on Dak. No, I can't say that.
Yeah.
But in the last 8 years, when you look at offensive inefficiency, when you look at what the team has been struggling right now in the red zone, I think Dak could do more. When there's red zone issues, no, you probably don't have a running back that could probably run in. You got tight ends dropping passes. But I'm saying if there's a lane, Dak, you might have to take it yourself. I'm sorry. I know you had that ankle injury. There's a chance you might get hit. But at one point when you say, you know what, I really want this team to win, and you run that 4-6 yards and dive in the end zone like he did against the Seahawks that 1 year in the playoffs where he just lays on line and said, you know what, I'm going for it all. I think we need to see more of that this year. And I think that's the pressure I'm talking about.
I don't think you're going to see that because, it just goes to a point. One, because the play calling has just been terrible. We're not even dialing up plays to even get the yards that we need in particular situations. And 2, this brings back to Lisa. She posted something on Facebook either yesterday or the day before. And I was like, I didn't get a chance to say anything, but it's like, I don't know what I was doing. But she said this was the day. It was a picture of Dak Prescott being carted off on the field. And it said, this is the day that Dak was broke, or he got broke, or whatever.
He was broken, yeah.
Yeah, he was broken. And
I said he hasn't been the same since.
And I think you're 100% right. I really do. Because...
Hasn't been the same in what sense, though? I mean, in what sense?
The entire option for him to run has been eliminated. And that's what made him good before that injury.
Yeah, because he doesn't run. And then it goes back to what you've said recently, Kyle, about him looking like he's running in buckets or whatever. And I mean, even when it's not that much pressure he's taking off, he's running, he still looks like that. So I don't know if it's something that's in his head or if his coaching is kind of holding him back where now he's at the point where he's just not going to run, or wherever the case may be. You can see a clear difference, and I think in that regard. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts? What's your thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
I mean, didn't Jerry say he didn't want his quarterback running? I mean, Jerry said that straight up, didn't he? 2 years ago when he signed him? I mean,
I don't know. Jerry says a bunch of frivolous things. So,
not for nothing. I mean, yeah, he looks slow as hell now, but I don't know. I don't need him taking unnecessary shots. I just don't. I mean, personally, I don't know. That's just me. I get it. It's 3rd and 1, roll out and get the yard and slide, but I don't know, man. I've seen too many quarterbacks get hit and they're out for 3, 4, 5 games, or they cut a la Kyler Murray, make a cut on the open field and torn ACL, and he's done for the season. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
And I'm not
To me, I think it's
necessarily
better
asking
safe
for
than
like
sorry.
a Lamar Jackson type game plan where he's running, he's the leading rusher on the team, but that option was completely taken away. I mean, like it's not even on the table. Like the instinct, it feels like to me when I watch, the instincts aren't even there anymore.
I mean, it's not part of the offense, though. He's not running. This is a West Coast offense. A read option is not really part of it. That's a whole different game plan.
Texas Coast.
Texas Coast. I don't know.
What I saw Sunday night was any kind of. I don't want Texas Coast. I don't want Texas toast. I don't want any of it. Send it all back and let's go back to the drawing board, because what was on display the other night, and again, I am not putting 100% of what happened Sunday night on Dak Prescott. But when you start talking, if I am a CEO of a company, granted, the CEO of this particular company is an idiot, in my opinion. But if I'm the CEO and I'm looking at why my company is not performing and what is causing my bottom line. Now, granted, again, let me give a caveat. The bottom line in this particular company is not being affected one bit. However, if I'm looking at all of my quote unquote products, I'm going to look at my expenditures. I'm going to look at the revenue generators, all that kind of thing. If this is the thing, while it's not 100% of the reason why the company is failing, if it's the one that's costing me the most, then I would be a fool as the owner of a company to not look at it.
But how do we know that's what's costing us the most?
Exactly.
Because you're saying
pure dollars. It's actual dollars.
But I understand the dollar aspect, but you can't. I mean, he's still not the guy like generating 95% of these penalties. He's not the one extending these drives.
That's what I just said, though. He's not 100%, but he's the most expensive. So is
your option to get rid of him? We're getting rid of. So you're getting rid of Dak then? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, because we got two wishy-washy people over here. Ron's saying he don't know if he can get a Super Bowl. Like, so then if that's what you feel, then you're going to cut bait, right?
That's not what I said. And that's what I said from the beginning. I don't know for sure, but I'm saying you have to take a look at it. You can't just blindly keep throwing him out there and be like, well, I'm going to hope for the best this year again. Well, for F's sake, we're going to be 12-5 again, and we're going to be bouncing the second round. Like you have to look at all the pieces. But
I explained that before we got on, though. Look at all the pieces in that 40. Let's say, God forbid, we match up with 49ers in their second round of the playoffs. They've got like before we even started, 49ers check off better. They had the better offensive line. Check better wide receivers. Check better running back. Check better fullback. Check better tight ends. Check better defensive line. Check better linebackers. So what does that have to do with Dak Prescott? That's my point. That's a total mismanagement of your assets and team building from your general manager. That's on Jerry Jones.
Okay, but fair. So you're playing right into my hand, though, because what I'm saying is, okay, so if you need to retool that much, $35 million helps you do that. Yeah. Am I saying that Dak is the problem? Absolutely. Is the only problem? Absolutely not. The problem for me is the person pulling the purse strings, the one signing the checks. That is the problem. You're absolutely right. He has mismanaged this thing ever since he stopped letting other people be in control. Like when the minute Jimmy left, it's been a shitstorm. But my point is, you can't just, it's not like the old days where he can just pay, where there was no salary cap and you can just go get Dion and Charles Haley, and you can't just bring in all the good players. I get it. But if there's one thing that can make, like that 35, I'm not saying getting rid of Dak is the solution. I'm not saying keeping him is the solution either. So if that makes me wishy-washy, then so be it. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that what we've been rolling out there with is not it.
But I mean, okay, so what's the difference between this and Tony Romo? Because I mean, there's a patch of people. See, and that's all I wanted you to say, because there's a patch of people still out there complaining about the Tony Romo stuff. To me, is like the same exact thing, because I was a Tony Romo supporter too, I heard all these complaints about Tony Romo. Also, never going to be able to win us anything. Never going to be able to take us to the Super Bowl. He made mistakes and stuff in big time moments of games and stuff that he did that we hope he would have did a different type of decision. So I'm trying to figure out what is the difference.
I know.
Go ahead, Ron. Because in my opinion, there's no difference at all.
There is a difference.
What is that?
At about this time, to me, Tony Romo started making a turn in his career where, if you watched the interview, and you probably haven't, where Terrence Williams was talking about the two quarterbacks from his experience with Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. He talked about Tony Romo had the knack for, if something seemed like it was a BS play, he would change it in the huddle for something that he thinks is for the better. And he did that well in the later part of his career. Now with Dak, at what point now, with him being in 8 seasons that he's out there, I think one of the problems that I see with Dak is when something comes into him, I don't know if it's confidence or what it is, but when he gets out there, Dak, if it seems like it's a trash play, make that call at the line and come up with something better. Don't try to force something, throw a pick or a sack happens because you decide to stick with it. You looked at the defense and see it's not going to work. Dak is willing to just be, I guess, so obedient to the coaching staff that this is what they called. I'm not going to make a change at the line. I'm going to go right through with it. I don't hear too many situations where it's saying that, oh, man, you can see Dak made that change at the line and that. But I don't see that happening on a consistent. And from a quarterback that's been in the league 8 years with all the changes with coordinators, I would think at some point he would be that guy like those Aaron Rodgers that are starting to say, you know what, forget this offensive coordinator. I'm going to run the show out here on this field. I'm going to field general this team out of field. I just don't know if I see enough of that, why people are thinking this might not be the guy. Because unfortunately, this Cowboys team, they need a quarterback like what Romo was at the end of his career, where he's going to be out there. And if the offense coordinator is not making the right call, he's going to have to make a decision and come up with something, telling the line how to block or something. Hey, this is the play I'm going to run because this is going to be most effective in the situation. I don't know if I'm seeing that in him, and it could just be from where I'm sitting and watching it from home and not there on the sidelines as a head coach. I think that's what we're missing is that. Yeah, go ahead.
Romo at the end of his career was told not to change plays at the line.
And he did anyway.
Distinctly remember them getting blown out week 1 against San Fran, where he threw 3 interceptions, and Jerry was pissed off because he was that whole season was, you're going to run the ball with DeMarco Murray, and you're not going to change plays at line. And the first game that he did, we got blown out. I mean, remember there was like more people in red at that game, a home game for us. Than,
yeah.
And because they didn't want Romo, because Romo kept blowing all these fucking games. He would blow them. And so they took that away from him. They took that away from Romo in his career. So like we can't use that as an argument because at 36 years old or 35, they took that away from Romo. So
you don't think that Detroit Lions game in that first round was not Tony Romo? That was the head coaching staff that told him to keep running the ball with DeMarco Murray in that first round. Detroit Lions that got us into the Dez Bryant catch game. That was Tony Romo in that Detroit Lions game. I don't care what anybody says about the coaching staff and we should have kept running the ball with DeMarco Murray. Tony Romo won that game against the Detroit Lions that got us into that game against the Packers. And that defense was garbage against the Packers in that game too. And unfortunately it came down to a play where he threw it to Dez and it didn't execute. But that team was not doing it for Romo. And I think he tried to carry and almost did against the Packers as well. So I did hear that there was some gains throughout that season, but he still had us in a position. And even in his last season, we'll never know because they didn't give him another opportunity. But I think
I could tell you what could have happened and stuff. And I mean, our defense was still basically the same, but the argument at that time, our defense still wasn't playing quite as well as everybody wanted to. Tony Romo still wouldn't have lasted because he was made out of glass at that point. He would have got hit again at some awkward point.
But bottom line for me, the reason the arguments are not different, I didn't get to have this argument about Tony because it happened, the laws of attrition happened. But if I were to put myself back in the year that Dak accidentally became the starter, I would have had these same conversations about Tony because at the end of the day, his style of play, whether he was calling plays at the line of scrimmage or not, it didn't translate to the end result I wanted either.
No, it didn't.
I don't want to win 12 or 13 games. I mean, that gets you in the dance, but that's not what this organization was not built for. I mean, it's been established that we're okay with mediocrity, but I don't think that's what it was built for.
I don't know.
So the argument for me with Tony and Dak is exactly the same.
Yeah, it is. It's become that. I mean, they have the same exact playoff record right now. They're both 2-4. You know what I mean? Like it's almost identical. You know what I mean? Like it's becoming Tony Romo, 2.0 again. You know what I mean? Or fan base is starting to turn on him, putting the blame on him, and I get it. Because we went through with Tony Romo, but
yeah, to me,
I don't know. Tony Romo was also 36 years old and breaking down. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yes,
I just don't see the points the same, the offensive efficiency. I don't know. I didn't see Romo struggling in the playoffs as bad as I've been seeing our offense so far.
Okay, but it still didn't translate 12, though.
Yeah, it didn't translate. It didn't translate. Yeah. There's still other variables. I mean, you can still argue about coaching.
It goes back to the
statistics.
If your offensive statistics are great, but you and again, it goes back to the argument that wasn't 100% on Tony. I get it, but if you're going to say that he could single-handedly put a team on his back and will it to win, that's just not true because it didn't happen. Again, he doesn't play defense. Dak doesn't play defense. Dak doesn't play special teams. I get it. And like I said, let me be clear. There is nothing that I would love more. There is not a card-toting Cowboy fan that wouldn't be. I'm not even allowed to take any time off in the first quarter. And if Dakota Prescott leads this team to the Super Bowl, I may have to quit my job and for the celebrations. And I'm here for it. I would love nothing more than for Dak to be the guy that I want him to be. I just don't know that he is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like back to the argument. Just one last thing on Romo and Dak. In my opinion, the only two differences I can see is a one defense that was made to bend not break with Romo, and another defense is calling themselves Hot Boys and Doomsday. That's constantly getting eaten up against better teams. So to me, that's another difference. So, which goes back to maybe if the defense cleaned some things up, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But I mean, let's go to we've talked about Romo and just the differences. Just the average football fans just like watching, kind of like putting their finger on the pulse of Dallas fandom and fandom that's not Dallas. What makes the difference? What's the difference between Dak and players like Josh Allen or Kirk Cousins that you can see make, throw interceptions? Hell, Jordan Love, he threw an interception in the end zone and stuff last week.
Star on the helmet. That's it.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Because Jordan Love sucks, but no one's talking about it. He's terrible. You know what I mean? But no one's talking about it. Josh Allen just lost the Jags on a Sunday morning, and no one's talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, no one's talking about it, So, I don't know. It's place for the star on the helmet. That's it. It's like the pinstripes for the Yankees. You know what I mean? It is what it. That's what it is.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Starstruck?
I'm telling you, it's a difference. It's a difference. Yeah. When I watched that game against San Francisco last week, I'm sorry, I watched it from a perspective of Purdy and Dak. And I know they were playing against some different defenses, but it was just the throws that Purdy was making that were so on point. That Dak, when I didn't look at him when he was under pressure, it was the times that I saw I didn't think he had as much pressure on him, and he had time to throw where he overthrew or he just, Dak, why'd you throw that? Why'd you put that down? I think those are the things that people, it makes it so easy to hone in on when it's like, why? Why'd you do that? Why? I mean, I get it. The game was out of hand towards the end when he threw that one deep, but why even throw? You already are being talked about as a quarterback that's he ain't it. He's booty. Why even throw that ball that deep in the field?
I wouldn't have, but then again, I'm not a quarterback in the NFL. I took a snap a couple of times back in the day.
It's just the decision making at times when you go back and you look at that game and you look at the reads. CD is open. people can say he's not a wide receiver one on any other team. Well, he's wide receiver one on this one. And I think CD has got to be your first two looks within your first two reads. I'm sorry. Even if the tight end is your number one option, if the tight end is covered, CD's got to be your next look. He is your wide receiver one on this team.
Yeah, but I think that's a whole other coaching thing too, because I don't understand how. To me, it just seems like Dak. By the time sometimes in Dak's progression, that's when some of these other like CD and all of them seem to me that they get open, because I see other videos where I see them not open at all.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. Yeah, a lot are not open.
So it's just like, I mean,
the pocket collapsing. Yeah,
that's another matter of opinion things. I know on this show alone that I know there's been times that Lisa's said that CD's open. I know there's been times I've said that I can't see any time when CD is open. And it's been whichever, throughout the whole thing. So I think, I mean, and it goes back to, it's like, I totally respect where you guys are coming from on each of your opinions, but it was like, when it comes down to me and Dak, I think Dak can, but I think you have to have other things go right too. You can't have all these ridiculous penalties. The play calling needs to be a little bit better. The receivers need to run better routes. I mean, there's a bunch of little different things that I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, to me, I think the argument would still kind of say the same, like if we had a Matthew Stafford or if we had whoever, because Matthew Stafford's not going to roll out here with those problems. You can't give up 16 penalties for 100 some odd yards, or you can't give up 400 yards on the ground. You can't give 180 yards in the first half. You can't do all these things and expect your quarterback to just pull you out of it.
This goes back to my point I've been saying all year. Like, they waited until the fourth year of McCarthy's tenure to change the offense. The fourth year. Why did we not do this year one? I just don't get it. Like,
that's Jerry.
Exactly. Yeah, he don't want to change. He's scared to change. He is legit scared to change. They should have got rid of Moore back when they got rid of Jason and had McCarthy install this offense from scratch his way in 2020. Because we're sitting here in week 6, we're like, what is this offense? We don't know. We don't know what this offense is.
It's like people want to get selective and stuff of what they want to tout and what they want to celebrate and what makes them upset and all these other things. You know what all fans should be upset about? Jerry Jones counting his change and stuff in his hands and they're smiling when we're getting blown out 42-10. That should piss everybody off. Because Jerry Jones slept very, very well that night. He went home or whatever, he flew back or whatever. He slept like a damn baby. He sleeps like a baby every damn night. Win, lose, or draw. What's your thoughts, Lisa Lee?
I can't stand him. Like, it's just flat out. Like, I think I've told this story. Like, my friends know how much I can't stand him. And for my 40th birthday, they got me an framed autographed picture of him.
Oh,
and
my God.
Sits in my, it was of young Jerry when he still had hair and it was dark. And like when he first bought the team, and it was hysterical. Like, it was a big production and it was absolutely the funniest birthday present I've ever gotten. And it was a big thing. And so, but like, as a business, like, my degrees are in business. I respect the crap out of him as a businessman. However, it is 100% his ego that has basically wasted 3 decades of this franchise. I've been a fan of this team. I had Danny White pajamas when I was little, like a nightgown, a girl's nightgown had the number 11 on it. Like, it goes way back for us and my family and my grandmother. My grandmother, I've told y'all the story about her. Like, she hated Dion when he was in San Francisco. And then he came to Dallas and she physically had heart palpitations. And then when he was professing that he had found the Lord, then everything was fine. She loved him till the day she passed. But, so it runs deep in my family. So these are hard conversations for me to have. The Tom Landry phase was, Tom Landry may as well in my head have been my uncle or my granddad. Like, I didn't know any better.
The level of professionalism,
right, and class, and
yes,
even when Jimmy was here, like, it was the organization was run differently. And we joke about it being a curse. And if he would just put Jimmy in the Ring of Honor, and that's a running joke, but like, it's not really that far off, because the Ring of Honor is like symbolic or whatever, but imagine what we could have accomplished had Jimmy and Jerry, let me rephrase that. If Jerry hadn't gotten his ego feelings hurt by people saying it was Jimmy's team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it stems from that. Jerry is searching for the golden ticket, and it walked out of the door in 1994.
Yeah.
Like, you had your golden ticket and your ego effed it up because you wanted to be the reason. You wanted to be the golden ticket. And he's been searching for that ever since. And it's just...
See, and that just does not work in any type of team environment or anything, work-wise, sports-wise, anything. There's always pieces to the puzzle. It
doesn't work. And with him specifically, like, we can't fire him. We can't... I mean, he should be fired as a GM. He should have a go-between between himself as the owner and the player personnel. Will McClay, make him the GM. I don't care. I feel like Will McClay's done a great job over the last however long he's been here, but you need another level in between there.
Good job.
Yeah, well, to see it goes back. Yeah. It's like the simple analogy. Remember that analogy that Bill Parcells said years ago, is like fun building a team, but you want to be able to buy your own groceries. Mm-hmm. Well, Will McClay, he's like selecting a lot of these pieces, a lot of nice little pieces and stuff for this wonderful dinner we're going to have, but we still got that crappy Jerry Jones recipe that's going to be made with these ingredients regardless. So it's still never going to come out right. It's just it's really just messed up. Just all of it.
And I think that brings me to a point here. Someone had mentioned, can Dak potentially lead this team to a Super Bowl? And why I question, I don't know that could happen. Because unfortunately, with the situation that we have here with the Cowboys, you got Mike McCarthy as a head coach. You got Dak Prescott as a QB. This team, with the personnel that it has now, it either needs a great head coach or it needs a great QB. They can't be both less than that. And right now, I'm not sure if both of them are operating at elite head coaching or elite QB. Therefore, that is why the team is where they are right now. If Mike McCarthy is going to be the way he is right now with his play calling or whatever, then we need a QB that's going to be able to go out there like Aaron Rodgers, that is going to carry Mike McCarthy through the season. If Dak's not going to do that, then you need a head coach like a Kyle Shanahan that's going to take a QB that needs some guidance and be able to Jared Goff him or whoever to an NFC Championship game. And I think right now that's the problem.
That ain't getting fixed in week 6, though. That ain't those guys. Neither one of those available. No, those aren't options in week 6, unfortunately.
No, not at all. But
a loss with the Chargers might be an option with Mike McCarthy.
That's the problem that I see here right now, is because with what we've been dealt with Jerry Jones has put in place, because we're limited in who we can bring in. I don't know who that head coach is, but I don't know if it's Mike McCarthy. But it's somebody that's a QB whisperer that's going to have to help this guy out, or he's going to have to be just the QB that, like Peyton Manning, that carried all his head coaches throughout his career. It's going to be one or the other that have to win it. And Kyle said something that I have not let go, that he mentioned. He said Dak Prescott is not Joe Burrows. Why isn't he? Because that's what we need. That's what this team needs, is a Joe Burrow QB. If we you
need to finish the season 1-16 and draft the guy number 1 overall. That's what you need to do. If you want Joe Burrow, that's the only recourse. That's your recourse.
But that's right. But
cut that and finish 1-16.
And Joe Burrow still has not won.
He's not Joe Burrow. And at
he's not. He's not Joe Burrow.
At 8 seasons in, we shouldn't be saying that at 8 seasons in. I'm sorry, he should be either right where he is or above him. Because there's a lot of other QBs, Aaron Rodgers, that we would not say that about. Other QBs down this league, we would not say that he's not.
What are you saying though? He's not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow came out of the draft as the #1 overall prospect. One of those generational type draft picks. That was a 4th-round pick.
What I'm saying, this team needs that type of quarterback. We don't need
every team needs that. 31 teams need that. Starstruck. 31 teams needs Joe Burrow.
No. I mean, the
Tennessee Titans don't need Ryan Tannehill. The Atlanta Falcons don't need Desmond Ritter. They all need a Joe Burrow. Like, what are you talking about?
Every team does not need Joe Burrow.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard, Micah Parsons. This defense, this offense.
This defense is not as good as you think it is. It's not as good as you think it is.
Yeah,
it's not. You've seen Joe Burrow and these other quarterbacks execute with a team that is not even close to what we have.
I can see And Joe Burrow never winning anything and being highly paid without
offensive line.
If
they don't, the offense secondary and made
the offensive line is,
and now he's paying the price for it. Yeah,
the offensive
but
line,
he already made it to where he made it twice.
And the offensive line
he made it to a Super Bowl. Are we all talking about winning a Super Bowl? Did Joe Burrow win a Super Bowl yet?
No.
Okay, there we go. Then you know what? Then Joe Burrow sucks ass. He's the worst quarterback ever because he's never won a Super Bowl. Because he's never done it.
And the offensive line is still trash.
Yeah.
And if they don't fix that stuff, Joe Burrow will just be he'll be one sooner or later just an overpaid quarterback.
Then they need to tank then. They need to tank for Caleb Williams. If that's your solution, then tank for Caleb Williams. The tank then. If that's what you want. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
When we're looking at these Arizona, you might be able to throw another quarterback in there to win an Arizona game. There ain't no other quarterback you can sit up there and throw on that game and stuff against the Niners for a win. There isn't.
How do you tank?
You told me. You got the answer. It's Joe Burrow. I mean, come on. You tell me.
I'll tell you how you tank. You don't extend Dak Prescott, and you put Trey Lance out there that you just.
Oh my God,
you let him fail, and set you up for a future QB.
Does that sound like anything Jerry Jones would ever let happen? This coaching staff's going to put Trey Lance in there to fail. Why Trey Lance? Put Cooper Rush in there to fail. Why Trey Lance?
You're doing it. You're tanking. Most teams are going to try to not make it look obvious. You think Trey Lance is not that QB.
So we're going to.
He's not that QB.
If you don't extend Dak Prescott and you make people believe that Trey Lance, now with a year under his belt and learned his offense and got the mobility, you put him out there.
And what happens when he wins 6 games?
Anyway.
And what happens when he wins 6 games and we're picking number 7? What are we doing then? Come on, man. This isn't the RG3 Browns. Come on, man.
If you think we got outstanding players on this team, trying to tank right now at this particular time would be catastrophic.
Yeah, tell that to Micah Parsons. We want you to tank, Micah Parsons.
Nobody's going to try to tank. You just not extend Dak, and you just let
not extend Dak,
and you just hope that
an organic tank, an organic tank. Yeah, right. Okay.
I need the rationale of Lisa Lee right now.
I know. Come on, man.
This is glorious. This is what I've been waiting on. I wish that we were on camera because when it started heating up, I was like, yes, here it is. But the thing about it is, since Trey Lance's name has been brought up, I do not believe that him being added to this roster was purely a quote unquote, I like to keep things stirred up, i.e. Jerry Jones. I don't believe that. I do believe there is a possibility. I don't even think it's a possibility. I do think it's a probability, whether it's we've clinched everything we can clinch, whether it's we're out mathematically eliminated, whatever it is, I do believe you will see Trey Lance at some point this season. I don't know. I don't know.
That's not what Stephen Jones has said. Stephen Jones has said the plan is for him to not see the field at all this season. He said that in an interview like 2 weeks ago.
Well, we know.
Okay, they also said, let's not start going down all the things they've said, but whatever. But the thing about it is, like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what the answer is, but I know that something has to give at some point because nobody's leaving at the top. So what is it? I mean, you just keep rolling out there with the same thing. And again, I love Dak Prescott. I do. But I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think Trey Lance is on this roster by accident or just because it was a fun toy to add.
I don't even know who's behind Josh Allen. I don't know. I don't know who's behind Lamar Jackson. I don't know who's behind any other quarterback that we were comparing.
Scooby is behind Lamar.
I don't know.
Because usually other owners probably don't want to cause all the
because it doesn't matter exactly.
Well, that's what I'm gonna say. Like what I will say, going back to Jerry and like the extra, like I think this goes back to like what Ron was talking about in the beginning about the extra pressure with Dak and dealing with Jerry. There's no other owner. Hell, there's no other GM that has a weekly talk radio show.
No.
Saying asinine shit every freaking Tuesday.
Yeah.
Asinine. Prime example, this past Tuesday.
And brought a 4th round pick in behind their starting quarterback. Nobody
where
else.
He's got that's the first question like they're gonna ask Dak. That was the first question they asked him when Trey Lance came in here. Like the things that Dak has to deal with. And I think up until now, I think you saw it a little bit right before the San Francisco game where you could tell he's on the edge of snapping. And granted, he doesn't care what I think, honest. I mean, he didn't even know I exist, and that's fine. But
actually, he listens to this program every week.
Well, can we get him on so we can ask him these questions? Like, but like it does. There's all parts of the different discussions here where there's a part of each one of your argument. Mine too, that I feel like is correct. Jerry is the problem. I feel like Dak is part of the problem. The defense is part of the problem or whatever. But you can't just not change anything. So I think the reason the discussion is Dak Prescott is because he is the one person on offense that touches the ball every single time. Granted, there's defensive problems. I agree. I don't think the defense is as good as we thought it was. Because if it was, you would have had an output like you did last year against San Francisco, where had we scored more than, 19 points, we win. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of problems. But
all right, so if it comes down to make a decision between Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy, you're sticking with Mike McCarthy? Is that what you're saying right now?
If I have to pick between the two?
Yeah. Mike McCarthy's staying on this team? Okay, all right. So then, so it's coaching. So it's kind of coaching then.
What if they both have to go?
So you're starting completely. You are blowing the team up completely. You're blowing this Dallas Cowboys team we already think it's playoff ready, playoff bound. You're blowing it up. New coaching staff, new offense, new quarterback. You blowing it up. That's Starstruck's game plan.
Is that
for 2024?
Well,
you're blowing it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Defensive line. I don't know if that's technically a defined blow up if you let go of Dak and then you get rid of Mike McCarthy. I don't know if that's really a blow up.
If you lost your offensive coordinator and your quarterback, it's absolutely a blow up.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know because personnel's still there, excluding Dak.
So
you don't think Dan Quinn's not going to get another job somewhere? I'm not saying it's the right or wrong thing to do, but I'm not suggesting fire the head coach, get rid of my quarterback, and I'm starting from scratch. And you know what I mean? Like, this is a good roster.
Yeah, I will tell you this: if we lose against the Chargers, I've already said this the last show. Shit, that bye week, I might be thinking about getting rid of Mike McCarthy.
So Kyle asked this question. You said you don't know am I thinking about blowing this team up? What's the alternative if we stick with what we have? Where are we going?
It could just be getting to the playoffs and losing first round, probably.
Realistically,
I think I'm going to try to get another offensive mind that actually knows what they're doing. Like, this guy had a chance to go interview Mike McDaniels. He didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, we act like there's no other alternatives. I mean, I would go coaching staff. I would I would do something different with the coaching staff.
So what happens with this season? So what do you got us this season? Realistically, if
this team is probably not winning the Super Bowl. I didn't have them winning the Super Bowl this year either. I didn't have them winning the Super Bowl.
So I mean, team up, what are you missing out on? What are you missing?
The coaching. This coaching sucks. These plays are awful. Let's be real here. These plays are awful.
Okay, so
Mike McCarthy is.
What are you missing out on if you blow this team up? Okay, so it's awful. What are you missing out on? What's going
to because you know what? I don't want to go down this dark rabbit hole of no quarterbacks. We're shoveling guys in there because Jerry wants to find gold and he's looking for the win. And I got this undrafted. I got this guy named Case Keenum that I got this guy like
Ron, we've been there with the rotating quarterbacks.
What's the alternative?
That's another.
You tell me the alternative, Ron. You tell me because
you Super Bowl either way. So what's the
how is that?
You blow this team up. What's the difference?
All right, so we're gonna. This is gonna be a 3-4 year rebuild. Is that what we're doing? We're just gonna aim towards 20.
I don't know.
Okay.
Jimmy Johnson.
All right.
Jimmy Johnson came in. We went.
Jimmy Johnson took over a one-win team. He took over a one-win team.
Yeah.
This is not a one-win team.
Somewhere.
I think with coaching though can get us. I think with coaching can get us close to San Francisco. We got the personnel.
We're not playing.
But bottom line, we're not gonna. Jerry's never gonna hire a coach that's gonna get you close to Kyle Shanahan because Jerry wants a yes man.
Exactly.
Be close. We want to beat them. We're not playing horseshoes or blackjack or throwing hand grenades. We don't want to.
But we also lost by 32 4 nights ago.
But we gotta get ourselves in position to get there at least get the opportunity. Right now, does anybody confidently think we're even going to get that opportunity to play San Francisco in the playoffs? Do we even have 100% confidence that we're even going to make it to the playoffs right now at this point?
It's a tough step. If we need to get the Chargers to get confidence back in this team.
Yes, it is because I'm telling you, a loss to the Chargers. And it could turn into a shit show. You got the Rams, you got the Eagles.
3 games behind the Eagles and a couple of games behind other wild card teams.
You got a long road. You got to have an
easier schedule than us.
You got a long damn road.
You got the Rams and a lot of these other teams playing a lot easier schedule.
Yeah, so I don't know. Let's talk about you guys all seen the TikTok video of and I think this is another reason why I defend Dak. Him with obviously his mother passed away to cancer. He's doing his thing, his part, for research for cancer and everything. He has like this little video on TikTok, and then I shared to you guys some of the comments some of these people were saying and stuff, because that's an element of this fan base. It's going to just be cruel regardless. I mean, and I think that's another reason why I'm kind of standing firm in defending this guy, because I just don't like that shit at all. It drives me insane. People just generally just hate this guy.
Well, and the bottom line is those are the people that make this fan base so hateable. Like, people try to lump me in with the fan base, whatever. I was like, that's fine. You can say the Cowboys fan base, but if you're an outsider and you don't see, I mean, all you see as an outsider is those kind of comments. You don't see like the people like us that watch it all the time and we do have strong opinions, but we're not going at anyone personally. We're not attacking anyone personally. And it's that faction of the fan base that makes it so hard to be a fan, but then also to like this fan base at all. There's always going to be those people. It's like you said earlier, they're the typical keyboard warriors sitting at home in their mom's basement talking trash about, personal attacks like that. There was no need for that on that particular post. Like, I get it. You're upset at the way, but those kind of comments would have been said. I mean, it was, gravely worse after the loss, but there's always going to be one or two that are going to say things even after a win.
True. I mean, I don't like that. I just don't like it, Yeah. I mean, everybody in life has grown up with somebody that has said something stupid, about somebody, or whether you're yourself or whatever. I just resent people like that. I just really do. for the thing, because to me, this guy has been an upstanding individual. He hasn't got in trouble. He hasn't done. I mean, he's like anything that you would want for your franchise on a personal level, and I just don't like it. What's your thoughts on that, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, guy's not Michael Vick and Deshaun Watson, but Jesus, the comments, you think he was worse than both those guys combined. I mean,
yeah, there's literally posts of people, there's memes out there showing a picture of Dak and the woman that killed Selena. Yeah. And it says, who do you hate more right now?
I know.
Dak Prescott or a convicted murderer?
I mean, this guy hasn't done anything.
I mean, does that put it in perspective for you guys?
No.
There's people that hate Dak more than a convicted murderer, the convicted murderer of Selena.
No, it's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Starstruck?
The ones that are saying that, they're probably so far removed from the Selena incident, and they're probably close to the Dak Prescott of letting them down is why they're able to be silly enough to say a comment like that, because they're so far removed from Selena that's sad that they would say that. But they're probably so far removed, that's why they're able to say something insensitive like that, because they're closer to the Dak Prescott situation. But what I want to say, because we were talking about blowing this team up, or I was talking about blowing this team up. Can we run through the first place teams right now and examine their QBs of who they have? Because we're talking about blowing this team up. Like, does it make sense to blow this team up? In the AFC East, who's leading the division?
The Dolphins.
Who's their quarterback?
Tua.
Where was he drafted?
First round.
Yeah, first round.
Where were they to be able to get that? They had to bottom out to be able to get to that.
They bottomed out. They bottomed out for decades. That's different.
Exactly. Since Dan Marino, they've been bottoming out since Dan Marino.
So that's a different.
We've been bombing out for 30 years. I mean, we still haven't.
No, we've had a franchise quarterback since Aikman.
Really found anybody since Troy Aikman? I mean, come on.
I didn't say that. Tony Romo was not a franchise quarterback. Did not have a decade with Tony Romo.
Okay,
but where did it get to?
All right, what is it? What is the guy with the Dolphins with Tua? Well, they've had 1.5 good seasons with Tua. All right, go ahead.
Okay, but they're in first place right now. Young QB, they took a chance. They got a first place QB. They got Tua. Tua was said he was undersized. He came in throwing 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions his first season.
And he's almost a paraplegic. But go ahead. Yeah, let's hear it. Come on. He's one hit away from being in a coma. Go ahead.
So, and we're going to see what they're going to do against us this season. We haven't played them. Next, AFC North.
We're going to get murdered. But
who's first place in the AFC North? The Steelers. Who's their quarterback?
You can't even put Kenny Pickett in an elite quarterback.
Where was he drafted?
First round.
I don't think he was the first round, was he?
He was the only quarterback picked in that draft. Yes, he was like young, 18.
He's young. He's first.
And he's not any good. But go ahead.
He's not good, but they're in first place right now.
But he's not good. But go ahead. Yeah,
you're right.
They have my defensive end.
Okay, he's young. He's young. Then you got next. Who's in the AFC South? Who's leading that division right now? The Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. Where was he drafted?
Number 1 overall.
It's not a coincidence. These quarterbacks are young, and these teams have gotten them in. No, they're probably not great right now, but they're in first place. Then you got the Chiefs. They got Patrick Mahomes. What round was he drafted in? So I don't know. No, we may not do great, but it's a chance that you take for maybe 2 or 3 seasons and a first round QB drops in your lap. And no, it may take 2 or 3 seasons to turn this thing around if you decide to let a QB not.
I don't know if
I'm not saying from Starstruck. Look at what Jerry Jones is looking at in this league of what's running this league right now. It's young, first round QBs with mobility.
Which is exactly what Dak Prescott was his first year.
He was and I think I brought that up in our comments. I said, where was Dak when he won Rookie of the Year? What was the type of QB that he was when he was at his most mobile best? You've got Trey Lance, and I'm not saying this guy is the answer to get us to no Super Bowl or anything like that, but you've got a QB, because remember, Dak Prescott was a 3-year project, and he came in his rookie season with a decent team and went 13-3. I'm just saying Jerry Jones and these guys could be crazy enough to say, you know what? Give this guy a year behind Dak to watch what Dak is doing out there on the field, to see how this offense, how CD and these guys move out here, and take a chance.
And who's his coach next year? Who's Trey Lance's coach? Who's Trey Lance's coach next? Who's the coach next year with Trey Lance?
It may still be Mike, but I don't know.
Okay. Mike McCarthy has never.
Quinn. I don't know.
Okay. No. Okay, because I knew you'd come up with that.
I said
Mike McCarthy.
I don't know.
Mike McCarthy has never developed a quarterback in his entire career as head coach of the Green Bay Packers. He's never developed a quarterback. I got the list of quarterbacks he drafted. There's 5 guys. Their names are Ingle Martin, Brian Brom, Matt Flynn, BJ Coleman, and Brett Hundley. Those are the quarterbacks he drafted. Not one of them is successful.
And you
I'm sorry. Ben DiNucci. Oh, I'm sorry. He drafted Ben DiNucci. How'd that work out for the Dallas Cowboys?
And
all right.
You were doing
Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was the head coach of the Falcons for 5 years. They didn't draft and develop a single quarterback. Didn't even draft one. So who's developing Trey Lance? Who's developing Trey Lance?
You're setting it up then. Because you said that Dak Prescott is not Joe Burrow. And I just told you, if we don't
Trey
have
Lance.
a head coach that's a QB whisperer, then you need a field general QB that's probably not Dak Prescott. You just set it up. Okay. Thank you very much. You're not. You're
not saying anything because you're saying Trey Lance is the answer. Trey Lance is not a quarterback general.
Answer. I said he's on the team right now.
Oh my God! And I said who's coaching him next year? I said who's coaching him next year? I don't know. You're right. Dak Prescott's not a field general. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Dak Prescott is not Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback he had his entire Green Bay career. I'm sorry he's not. And I feel bad that you think he is or is not, but he's not. You're right. Dak Prescott is not Aaron Rodgers. He's not a first ballot all-time Hall of Famer. That's the only quarterback Mike McCarthy has ever had. He's never developed anybody behind Aaron Rodgers. So to sit here and think he's going to develop Trey Lance behind Dak Prescott is ridiculous because he's never done it. I have his track record right here. He's never done it.
I'm not thinking that he could do that. I'm just saying Jerry Jones may take that chance and put him in the lineup because all these other young QBs that are sitting here running these offenses that don't have a Mike McCarthy or a QB whisperer that are still sitting on top of their division right now. So I'm not saying that Trey Lance is the answer, but what I am saying, going back to you saying that Dak Prescott is no Joe Burrows, I'm saying if you're saying that Mike McCarthy is not that type of head coach, then you need a QB that is a Joe Burrow. And that guy.
And who is that? Who is Joe Burrow? Who is Joe Burrow?
Take 3 seasons to get there. I don't know. It could be in this. It could be like Caleb Williams. It could be Shedeur Sanders. I don't know. I don't know who that guy is right now. He may not even be in the NFL right now.
Well, if you don't know, do you think Jerry Jones knows? If you don't know, does Jerry Jones know? I mean, if you don't know, God,
But I'm saying if you don't have a head coach that is elite enough to develop one, then you're going to need a QB that can come in and take this team to that level, and that may just not be Dak Prescott. You need one or the other. You either need an elite head coach or you're going to need a QB that can do it without one. And that probably is not what we have on this team, and it may take blowing up this team for the next 3 seasons to get a first-round QB that can come in and do that under somebody else or under Mike McCarthy.
Okay, so
that QB may still be
so you're for blowing it. All right, so you're for blowing it up.
It could be Shedeur Sanders. It could be Caleb. I don't know. That QB's probably not in the NFL right now.
But still, it comes down to the question: if you get rid of Dak Prescott, what about the other cleanup, the penalties, the extending of short third down drives defensively, stupid penalties.
Other issues, like 100%, Dak is not the only issue.
Yeah, I just don't know what quarterback that you're gonna put in there that's gonna overcome 16 penalties or giving up 180 yards in the first half of a football game.
Joe Burrow came in and overlooked a terrible garbage line. I don't know. There may be a QB that can make that stuff not even look as relevant. It'll still be there, but there might be a QB that make that stuff not be looking as relevant.
I don't know. Is there any other team coming up having penalties like that? I never hear about it, but then again, I'm not watching anybody else. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that there's any other team in the league that will give up 16 to 20 penalties in one damn game for a little stupid stuff that they don't even get called for in college. The players are not even doing. They don't even call in high school. Lining up offsides. I mean, how does that stuff happen? I mean, how is that a Dak Prescott issue and not a coaching issue?
But you keep going back to that. Like, Ron's not saying. I'm not saying Dak is the only problem. I'm saying you have to change something to get a different result, to make an attempt at a different result.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not 100% Dak. No, for sure. Dak wasn't lined up off sides. Dak didn't pass interfere. Dak didn't, I get it. But you have to change, whether it's the coach, whether it's the quarterback, but if you, my point to it is purely like a financial situation. And when that number came up that you could save $35 million, that's material to me. So
I get it.
If Micah Parsons, if we had already backed the Brinks truck up and paid him $250 million, then I'm looking at him, even though he is really, really good. But again, he's even been exposed the last couple of, the two losses. So like, no, that defense being bad in those 2 games is not all his fault. But if he's costing me the most, I got to at least look at it.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
8 years. You've changed that offensive coordinator. You brought in a whole new thing of wide receivers. You've brought in a new defensive coordinator, got rid of Christian Hart, all that other stuff. You've changed out pretty much every component of this team over the last 8 years, but the QB. You've done everything. You've changed out, and of course the ownership, but that's not going anywhere. But you've done everything else. You've tried everything, and we keep seeing the same thing. Guys not getting open. I'm like, how do guys come to this team, different offensive coordinator, and we still got the same issues with guys just not getting open? Or not the same problem.
And a side note about the offensive stuff. Why aren't we doing pre-snap motion? Why is it like we don't do any damn thing?
I don't know.
There's no movement whatsoever.
None. I've been saying that since Dez Bryant's been on the team. I've been saying that since he was on the team. Like, why don't we put Dez in motion? Why don't we use CD in motion to like other teams to put him out of position, put him in the slot, put him out wide?
All this speed we got, and there's no pre-snap motion, and he going
Turpin
nowhere.
Had to beg to get the ball thrown to him downfield off season. Put me in there. We got these guys. We signed him for a reason, and we're not utilizing. Brandon Cooks ran one reverse. I've been saying that we should run more of that stuff. The thing is, you got to give the ball to the right person.
Well, see, I'm not doing no reverses or bubble screens. It never
put it in the hands of a 4-3 guy, you got a better chance than giving it to Cedric Wilson or Michael Gallup or a tight end. You got a better chance. You put guys in positions to help them succeed. You don't put the ball in somebody that's not running a 4-2, 4-3 type speed. You're giving it to a tight end? Really? On a jet sweep? That don't even make sense, a tight end on a jet sweep.
I don't know.
Counterproductive.
I know you don't like Michael Gallup and stuff, but Michael Gallup has bailed us out of some scenarios. But anyways.
Honestly, the argument goes back to this. Yeah. And like, you can say at any given point, any given quarterback has either bailed out a team or cost a team. Like, you can say that about any given player on any given day. However, there is, but just by the nature of the position, the one that is most magnified is the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, sure. Has Michael Gallup, had flashes in the pan? Sure. CD in the Giants game last year is a prime example. He had a horrible first half, and then he was like that dude in the second half. But like, I don't believe that it's just the receivers are not getting open. I don't know if it's a timing thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting to the point where this whole discussion came up, you have to look at changes somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's,
I can roll
that's
with
the whole point.
On a financial standpoint, I can roll with you, Lisa Lee, on that. It makes sense. I can roll with you on that. As far as blowing up, I don't know, because I just think at this stage in the game and stuff, I just think it's just way more catastrophic. I don't think it's just that damn simple as, just letting your team just suck just to all of a sudden have a quarterback fall in your lap. I don't think it's just that easy. I mean,
even if his last name is Manning.
Yep, even if his last name is Manning.
Because by the time we were done with the blow up, Arch would be coming out. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Just saying. Like I said, that guy may not even be in the NFL. We're talking about Trey Lance. Trey Lance would just be a buffer until somebody else got here.
I don't know. I just think we done said Trey Lance way too much in this show today.
You have to. You have to look at it because I don't think it was just a shiny toy. I don't. And we'll revisit it if he's not
brought in for some reason. Whether he's to, I'm not saying this man's putting pressure on Dak, but he was brought here for a reason. Whether that is that they hoping that this guy can turn into a diamond in the rough, or he's just going to be a buffer until somebody else gets here. I don't know, but he's on this team and he was traded for.
Yeah, that's true.
He's on this team for the same amount of time as Dak Prescott is. Dak Prescott has 1 year left on his contract, and Trey Lance has 1 year left on his contract. Right? They're not picking up his 5th year option. We all know that for damn sure. So who starts opening week next year in week 1? Who you rolling with? I think I'm going with Dak Prescott.
I got a feeling Cooper Rush is not on this team next year.
I didn't. That's not what I asked. I didn't ask anybody about Cooper Rush. I asked who's starting week 1 next year.
Need a QB
okay. Hold on a second, people and stuff. Listeners to the show and stuff. You hear that? Cooper Rush is going to be on the market, so let the NFL quarterback sweepstakes begin.
Yeah,
since he's like top tier starter in the NFL. This is an excellent point to end the show. I got a gut feeling that we're going to have to revisit this again. There's going to be a Dak Prescott.
I'm not. This is it. I didn't even want to do this tonight. I'm so sick and exhausted by arguing over Dak Prescott. Like I can't do it anymore. This is it for me. Honestly, I didn't even want to do it tonight. I almost faked being asleep because I didn't want to do it.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Because it's so divisive, and I just hate that. You have to be either Dak. You have to be Team Dak or you hate Dak, and I hate that you can't just. I don't know.
Be in the middle. You just can't be in the middle of the road.
I mean, you can even be in the middle, but like it's just with rational thinking. I hate that I have to constantly defend him at every turn. I hate that. I'm so sick of it. Like he's the quarterback. It is what it is. He's like I said, not Mahomes. He's not making. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm so sick of defending it and playing out hypothetical situations. Like I can't take it.
I know my hypothetical.
I'm exhausted.
My hypothetical lately has been like we cut him and he wins the Super Bowl with somebody else and he tells part of this fan base to F off and we'll ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, our fan base, the way they act and the way they treat people and I'm not saying all our fan base and just the way that he carried themselves in some of these games and the fights and all that stuff, we don't deserve a championship any damn ways.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, he is a good quarterback. He is a franchise quarterback. Like at the end of the day, and I hate that we have to people tear him down, and I feel like I have to constantly defend him because there's 20 other teams that would like to have a guy like Dak Prescott on their team. You know what I mean? There are a bunch of I'm sure New England would love to have a Dak Prescott on their team right now. You know what I mean? And not have to roll with Mac Jones. You know what I mean? And it just sucks. It just sucks that they were constantly doing this guy. And I'm exhausted by it. I really am exhausted by it.
No,
that's all.
I get you on that. So
I noticed he didn't name anybody competitive, but I'll just walk away from that. I'll walk away.
So any final words, Lisa Lee?
This was glorious. This was everything I dreamed it was going to be. So I know it's late and I'm sorry that you have to work so long and have a horrible commute tomorrow, Kyle, but I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah. Me too. And there's a bunch of receipts that's been written on this show, so I got to come back through and take some notes and stuff because I'm sure we're gonna be revisiting the blowing up thing again too.
For sure, but right. I do want to end the show with this. This is what I want to leave, and y'all can say something after this. But I wish this to get to the entire fan base to say, look, the four of us, we talk every day. Mm-hmm. I consider these guys some of my closest friends, even though I've never met Kyle in person. But the thing about it is we have heated discussions like this all the time. And when we hang up this phone, this recording, we're still going to be friends. We're going to have another heated discussion probably within the next 7 days that will not have Dak Prescott's name in it at all. Because if the defense shits the bed against the Chargers, now we're going to go in on the defense. But the point is, it is okay to disagree, but to still come back at the end and you're still friends. Like, that's just the end of it. Like, it is what it is. We all have opinions. They're not always the same. But at the end of the day, we're all still supporting the same team. I have 2,000 shirts in there and a vest and all the things that say I'm still going to support this team. Is it hard right now? Absolutely. But you don't have to be an asshole just because you have a different of opinion.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. No, and you don't have to
Very
be
well put. Yep.
Horrible. You know,
that's I don't want to revisit this either. And I hope
I'm done with Dak talking.
Yeah.
Definitely going forward. I really want this team, and I'm one of the ones that's siding that I think they will beat the Chargers on this upcoming Sunday. I believe it's going to be because of Dak Prescott. I really do. So no, I'm not all fully against Dak Prescott. I'm just saying,
Lord, now we got to
change.
We got to add another 30 minutes onto the show because now everything that you just said. Anyways, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying. All of what I said tonight was if things don't change from where we are right now, I could see those things coming to pass. But I do not want to see it come to pass, and I am pulling for them to beat the Chargers on this Sunday. And that could be a start to us having to not get on this topic again for the rest of the season if we can get things rolling, beginning with this Monday night game. By the way, it's Monday.
Yes, and it would be lovely to roll into the bye week with a big win, and some of these guys resting up and trying to plan. But man, it could be the complete opposite come Tuesday. It could be the complete opposite where. Because I'm gonna have my little gun, my little pistol ready to talk about defense and talk about coaching and stuff. And if we're gonna make a change, we need to change. So,
we're gonna win.
I'd like to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning into our program. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and send us an email at tsc.DallasCowboyPodcast@gmail.com. Again, on behalf of myself, Lisa Lee, Kyle, and Ron, let's go ahead and say it together, guys. How about them Cowboys? Take care, everybody. No,